I thought this would be appropriate for today because it's a film that we made years ago about the Festival of Lights, and it's called The Wheeling Lights Story. It's a very nice version because it was back when downtown Wheeling had a lot of lights, and we had the riverboat. It's just it's almost historic at this point. So I hope you enjoy it.
I'm from Hobart, Indiana. It is overwhelming. This is my second year in a row to come, and it just gets better.
I like the fact that you can be with your family and go through it and enjoy it together.
I like the fact that kids my age made it, and to think that kids my age can actually do stuff like that, and it was really nice.
The Festival of Lights at Oglebay Park and downtown Wheeling attract over 1 million people, including 3,300 buses, from October to February. What is it that brings so many people year after year? And how did this event originally start?
The director of the zoo and Randy Whirls and Doug Dolby at Oglebay went out to a zoo in Cincinnati, and they were so impressed with the Christmas presentation of the Christmas lights and lighting up the zoo, they thought in our slow period here at Oglebay in the wintertime, very few people would visit the zoo. So they thought, gee, this would be a nice idea for Oglebay. And so that first year we spent probably $2,000 and bought enough lights to outline the building of the zoo. And it worked very well, and it did generate quite a bit of traffic. And after that happened, things grew from there. We heard about Niagara Falls and their Christmas lighting. And so in 1985, we had the Park Commission approve a budget to put in our first 5 displays. And within 2 years, the occupancy of the lodge, for instance, went from 27% to 95%.
The idea was inspired by the Niagara Falls attraction and adapted to the local environment.
With the topography that Oglebay has is so unlike Canada or downtown Toronto in that area, that we had a real opportunity to put things down in a valley that you would look down on or way up on a hill. And it was a real challenge then to create something that would be exciting for children as well as adults and anyone. The other challenge really was to look at the fact that most displays are seen from people in cars and not a pedestrian tour. So by virtue of that, our scale and size had to be rather large thinking.
The Festival of Lights is famous throughout the nation, but not much is known about the people who create the displays. Let us start with the concepts.
And I listen to the comments of people around the park and visitors, and they say, gee, you don't have bells, or you do have Santa Claus, but you don't have his elves. And I make notes on that, so when the upcoming year comes, you have a little bit of reference of maybe which direction to go. I usually sit at the desk here and on a very small pad, just do a lot of little mental picture notes. And there may be 12 to 18 of those. So you have to do a lot of reference and then come up with something that's not so sophisticated or so classic that children will not recognize it, and parents say, why are they doing that? And then Randy and the Oglebay staff, the principal management people, sit down and we sort of take a vote on it.
Then Mr. Otten produces the working drawings for the craftsmen.
And then they're coded to detail which colors go where. And one of the most, I think, monotonous jobs of working on a project like this is actually putting the lights at 4-inch centers along the design.
Amazingly enough, 95% of the displays are built by the Wheeling Park High School as a hands-on project by the students.
In the beginning, they wanted to partnership with us to build these projects for over at Oglebay, and they supply the materials, bring them in, and then the students do the work here to build them. Mr. Otten does the blueprints for the projects over there, bring them over. We then shoot those prints down onto the floor or have the art class draw them on the floor. We bend the material, the steel, to the shapes of the objects on the floor. Students then weld those together and put the frameworks on them. This year we did the horses that are jumping. We did the ballroom dancers. We recreated the Statue of Liberty display from a solid aluminum statue to one with lights on it. We've done the flag, the waters back up. Most of the displays over there have been done here. I think one that was probably the most challenging, that I probably liked the best and was the most challenging for students, was the polyhedron ball. It was a massive project for them, and one that took some real engineering to get it done.
After a structure has been assembled, it goes to the auto body shop. There the students proceed with the painstaking task of painting.
We have to prep the material that's going to be painted. We have to wire brush it all off. We have to sand it down, blow it all off. And we have to use a special primer. It's called epoxy primer. We have to spray it on. It all has to be prepped in the gun. It has to set for a little while before you spray it. Then it all has to be sprayed, and all the little tiny 3/8 rod is, it's kind of hard to paint. You got to keep flipping it over and over and over.
The task of designing the animation controllers goes to the Wheeling Park High School students again.
When we get a request for the display, we simply assign the different projects to different students, and they have to solve the problems as to how to make the circuits work.
We got our circuit and we got our box mounted. Now we're testing it, make sure it works before we put it out in the field. Each light bulb represents a movement of his tail.
We've done things like the snowball fight, the train display, the fisherman, Willard the snowman, and probably the most challenging one we've had was the snowball fight. It has about 420 active electronic components in it and does about 200 or 300 decisions in a minute's time as to what should happen when. So it was one of the more challenging projects for the students.
Bernie Pettit, an industrial contractor, prefers a mechanical approach to animation.
Animation has been a hobby of mine. I like the actual motion better than I do the lighting of it.
You can change the speed by simply changing the location of the magnet. The farther out on the perimeter, the faster it gets. The more you bring it down into the center, the slower it runs. The cams are cut in whatever sequence that you tell the manufacturer to make them in. You can have them come on or off at any given time you want. On the dinosaurs, we've probably got about, I'd say 200 man hours in them. By the time you start with the design work, the layout, the manufacturing, the painting, and the stringing and everything like that, at least 200 man hours in them. And that would be low, not considering the hours you spend thinking about things, just actual work on them.
The new dinosaur display is one of the big hits of 1993. The animals are found amongst tropical vegetation made up of over 1,000 lights. The largest animal in this animated display is over 28 feet long. The other two are both over 12 feet tall. A driving tour.
Super 92, WPHP, this is Todd Taylor. And
we come up here and turn the station on from 5 o'clock until 9. We'll play solid Christmas music, and we take any requests for your favorite music at all that you want to hear at Christmas. And we just sit here and put CDs in and play the cards that describes every display that we have in through the park.
Parade of the Wooden Soldiers. In this animated display, 3 soldiers are saluting and 3 are marching. 3 times life size, this favorite holiday theme has over 2,500 lights. The soldiers stand 16.5 feet high and the guardhouse is 22 feet high. The entire display is 45 feet across.
The majority of the people involved in the creation of this brilliant spectacle have the perfectionist approach. Many of them go to view the displays on their off time to see how they can be improved.
When I see it, ideas for next year, how you can make it better. You can always improve on it.
I can't go as a person and sit back and enjoy it. I have to analyze everything that's going on, and every time I view these, I'm thinking, how can we make them better?
I just lay back and wondering what everybody else is thinking. It's kind of fun. Just watch people's expression when I see the Cinderella castle and stuff, like, ooh, you know.
My children have to visit that park nightly. Yeah, we're quite proud of it ourselves. It's a family affair.
I was over one night taking a picture of the manger scene, and there were 4 or 5 people there. And there was a little girl walked up to the glass and looked in at the scene and put her hands on the glass and looked very intently. And I thought, gee, that's such a cute picture. And then she turned to her mother and said, Mommy, whose birthday is it? And I thought, what a great statement for a child. I thought, gee, if we worked hard on it, it was worth that child's looking at it.
The life-size nativity scene took over 6 months to create. The handmade figures, with their garments of cloth imported from Europe, depict the real meaning of Christmas. The elaborate animated rocking horse is 23 feet high with 715 lights. The design was inspired by carousel horses. The Festival of Lights not only brings joy and fun to the whole family, but also brings economic benefits to the Wheeling area.
Well, we get all kinds of comments. A lot of them are negative. They think it's a waste of money, that money can be spent otherwise. They don't realize the money that it brings back into the community.
We figure we get about 1,200,000 cars during the season. That's from November 1st to mid-February.
And they all eat at local restaurants, sleep at local hotels, and many go shopping at local stores and gift shops. Actually, the Oglebay Park Commission has only positive experiences with its policy not to charge a fixed admission fee.
So we put up 2 of these larger structures, and you drive by and the free will offering, whatever it is, goes in there. We were so shocked at the end of the season. The money, of course, is collected daily and counted. But the first year, we were a little in excess of $111,000.
In keeping with Wheeling's Victorian heritage, these new angel displays greet visitors and direct them on their tour. There are 821 lights on each display. This Christmas greeting card stands over 50 feet wide and 30 feet high. Oglebay greets its visitors with more than 1,000 lights. Happy holidays! 3 herds of deer appear among the trees in their natural grazing habitat. Holly wreath and candy canes, a long-time favorite, was a theme piece in 1985. The tallest candy cane stands 30 feet high. The entire display contains 4,000 lights. In the past, several couples found the display so attractive that they chose to be married beneath it. Cinderella has made its way to Oglebay Park. This is one of the most extravagant displays Oglebay has created today. An ornate Victorian carriage, with a driver and 2 footmen, is drawn by 6 elegant and costumed horses. The horses and carriage travel uphill to the castle of the prince. The castle is over 30 feet high. This animated display features over 6,200 lights.
This was the 12 Days of Christmas, and I felt that an espalier tree would be a nice design as the background for the 12 days, and then each one of the symbols, the drummers and the pipers and the Lord's leaping. You have to sort of make a decision how much of this will be lighted and how much could maybe be an opaque surface. It could be painted on aluminum and give it more detail and be a nice relief from the lighted espalier trees.
The Mansion Museum is decorated for the holiday season by leading decorators of the Wheeling area, who each have a room to fill to their heart's desire. A specially decorated Christmas tree highlights each of the rooms. A model train display runs in the Burton Gallery, and a fine gift shop is on the lower level. And decorated Christmas trees are found throughout the park.
We've sort of confined the animation finally to the Jack-in-the-Box with a progression of lighting the gift boxes first, then lighting the lower box that Jack is in, and then Jack coming out of the box lights progressively, and then he waves his arms back and forth.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. the meadow we can build a snowman. Then pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man. But you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. To face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland.
We were beginning our third year at Oglebay with the Festival of Lights, and at that time we probably had 12 to 15 displays. And downtown Wheeling, and Randy Worrells, of course, a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and so is Doug Dalby, they said Wheeling should light up as well. The first request we had from downtown Wheeling through the Chamber was to design some symbolic thing to put down the main streets, whether it be a wreath or whatever. And we felt a large, maybe 8-foot snowflake would be a prettier thing to do, keep them all white and have Main and Market Street lighted that way. So that first year, I think their installation was roughly 150 snowflakes. And then the individual retailers began to light downtown.
And as you can see, downtown Wheeling lights up when the sun goes down.
Christmas makes you feel emotional. It may bring parties or thoughts devotional. Whatever happens or what may be, here is what Christmas time means to me. City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile, and on every street corner you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring a ling, hear them ring. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Strings of street lights, even stoplights, blink a bright red and green as the shoppers rush home with their treasures. Hear the snow crunch, see the kids bunch. This is Santa's big scene, and above all this bustle you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring a ling, hear them ring. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Ring a ling.
We wanted to be sure people didn't miss the zoo who might be strangers to Oglebay. So on the road as you go down to the good zoo, we took a large image of Woodchuck Will, and he stands there motioning cars to come in and visit the zoo.
Are you listening in the lane.
If you remember in past years visiting Oglebay and driving past Shank Lake, we've had several displays on the lake. We started with some geese and ducks, and then we added a comic fisherman who catches a fish and loses it. We thought, what else would be on a lake, particularly in the winter? Well, it'd be ice skaters. And so we designed a lady figure skater who spins and jumps on Shank Lake. She's there now.
In the meadow we can build a snowman.
The manager of the dining room called me one day and said, you know, Bob, you haven't done anything about the dining room in the way of displays. And I never really thought of it being a displayable idea. And I wanted to do something for him that would be attractive but still fun. And so in the back end of the lodge, as you come up the back road to Wilson Lodge, you'll see a 15-foot high chef flipping pancakes in the air. In thinking of new displays for Oglebay, you think largely of the winter time, since we do call it the Winter Festival of Lights, and yet visitors come to Oglebay year-round. In the summertime and in the spring, they come up to see the tulips and the blooming annuals and later the chrysanthemums. And I thought it would be a shame to overlook a touch of gardening in the wintertime, even in the snow. And so we created a display of a comic gardener, and you see him standing on top of a stepladder, watering a garden, and as he sprays the water on the flowers, you see the daffodils, then the tulips, and then a 10-foot sunflower shoots out of the ground.
No man, but you can do the job when you're in town later on.
As you know, or probably have heard, we do have the West Virginia Tennis Open at Oglebay. So we designed a display around that called the West Virginia Tennis Open. And we have a net up and we have 4 players volleying back and forth, and it does very well. It's a nicely animated display. If you remember in the story, if Cinderella doesn't get back by midnight, she turns into one thing, the coach turns into a pumpkin, and the horses turn into mice. And so to complete the story, we completed the display that way. So when you see it now, you'll see the full Cinderella story with the castle, the horses, the coach, and the pumpkin and the little mice. We had this parade of the wooden soldiers with 6 soldiers marching, and we thought it might be fun to add one more soldier firing a cannon. So on command, he's an animated figure, he fires a cannon, you see the projectile go. The family sleigh ride had been a favorite the year we put it in, which was 2 years ago, and it illustrates a little country chapel and a country home, and a typical American family in early days riding in a sleigh drawn by 2 horses and followed by a little puppy dog.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks.
We used a combination of all different interpretations of how to do Aladdin, and we thought if we used the genie and the magic of his lantern making the genie appear and then Aladdin riding on the magic carpet would be the most appealing. And so when you view the display on the road to Spidell Golf Course, you see a ancient city in outline in blue lights, and above it Aladdin is flying on a magic carpet with his sweetheart beside him, and then the genie appears and jumps high in the air. The whole display is roughly 35 feet high. This year, for the Winter Festival of Lights at Oglebay, we wanted to create some new ideas and maybe embellish the more popular earlier ones. And so our first challenge was the Ringling display with the 3 clowns. And we couldn't quite hook up a trapeze act and hang it from I don't know where, so we decided we'd go to the animal side of the circus. And we have a 20-foot high elephant with a trainer standing on his hind legs. the elephant that is, on his hind legs. And then we have a big stallion with a trainer, and he's up on his hind legs. And the total concept now of the Ringling display has worked out real well. Now you see the 3 clowns. Each of the clowns are animated. Then on either side, the elephant and the stallion.